Planet Dolan.
From damaging antique vases to spraying pepper spray in an art gallery, the Planet Dolan crew reenacts some of the best true stories from Reddit about the times we messed up at work. I'm Pringle the One, and today I'll be your narrator. This story was submitted by Critisul. One day, Helbin decided it would be funny to draw a mustache on his boss's picture on the office staff board. He was going to wipe it off shortly after, as the board was laminated and the marker would easily come off. However, Helbin forgot because he suddenly got swamped with work. The next day, he was suspended for vandalizing company property. A week later, he had to go to disciplinary hearing with his boss and an HR representative. The HR rep asked to see the board, which Helbin showed her and immediately wiped off the mustache with his finger. He asked why he got into so much trouble over something so trivial. His boss told him that he thought it was someone else, and that he had wanted an excuse to fire that person, which was why it went as far as it did. As a result, Helbin was fired, but oddly, his boss wrote him a good reference letter. This story was submitted by Looney Llama 056. Zaragamba used to work at an art gallery as a greeter. On his first day, he found some pepper spray and thought it would be cool to see what it looked like when sprayed. When he sprayed it, it flew across the room and onto a wall right next to a painting worth $1,500. Zaragamba ran over it and in a panic started to rub the pepper spray onto the wall to try and spread the stain so that it wasn't noticeable. Surprisingly, his attempt to hide it worked. Soon after, his eye itched, so he itched it. As his finger touched his eye, Zaragamba instantly knew that he had made a mistake. Panicking, he ran into the bathroom to wash his hands. Unfortunately, he accidentally hit his other eye on the way to the sink. With his eyes burning, took out his contact lenses. That made his eyes burn even more. Eventually, he was able to wash his hands and flush out his eyes. His boss never said anything to him, despite there being a surveillance video of the incident. Zaragamba was even happier that none of the pepper spray got on the painting. That and his boss probably saw what happened to him and was like, look at this dumb guy. Got pepper spray in his own eyes. This story was submitted by Dwingp. Dolan began working at a movie theater just as the very first Spider-Man came out. It was a chaotic opening night, with 3 people calling in sick. Dolan had to fill in for all 3, doing whatever was needed. He spent the entire night selling tickets and popcorn, and then cleaning the theaters. The Spider-Man screens were a mess after every group, since the rooms had been full of kids. For very messy theaters, the employees used a leaf blower. So, Dolan started the leaf blower beginning in the back and working his way to the front, blew all the garbage to the front where he could scoop it up and then mop. Once everything was clean, Dolan went back to selling tickets. It was around the same time when another theater showing Spider-Man had just gotten out, and Dolan had to rush to clean it. Just then, he saw a group of his friends waiting to get in with a massive crowd. Dolan didn't have time to talk to them as he was too busy. One of his friends shouted, "Hey man, aren't you going to talk to us?" Without thinking, in front of a huge crowd of mostly children, Dolan yelled, "There's no time! I've got to get back there and blow Spider-Man right now!" This story was submitted by Jrfemfin. Mimi used to work as a receptionist at an assisted living facility. One morning, she got a call from a lovely old lady who was part of a group of other lovely old ladies who came once a month for tea with one of the residents. It had been a tradition for the ladies for over 25 years. The lady had called to confirm the reservation, so Mimi confirmed it. Later in the morning, the group of ladies came in, and Mimi told them that she would get a staff member to bring their friend down. She got on her radio and asked the caregiver to bring down the resident and escort her to the table. After several minutes, the caregiver came down but without the resident. She told Mimi that the resident had passed away 3 days ago. It was hard, but Mimi told the group what had happened. The ladies were shocked, with 2 of them getting teary-eyed. Mimi felt like a massive jerk for getting them all there, only to tell them that their friend had died. She offered them their tea, which they took. When they were finished, the ladies thanked Mimi for being so nice to them and to their friend. After that day, Mimi learned to ask every morning if anyone had died, or if there was anything else she should know. This story was submitted by Angry Person 4. Back when Sid worked as an archaeologist assistant, he made a horrible mistake. During his first excavation, Sid broke several antique vases by accidentally falling asleep on them. Not wanting to get in trouble with his boss, he smuggled the broken vases to the restorer's office. Once they were fixed, the restorer taught Sid how to fix them if it ever happened again. In the end, his boss never knew the vases were broken. As for Sid, he felt that restoring artifacts was kind of his thing, so he quit that job and got a new one as a restorer. This story was submitted by sparklingdinosaur. Lost Fox used to have a cool job that involved tagging tiger sharks. One day, his boss told him that an official was going to visit their lab. He had to move the 60-pound bags of thawing tuna out of the lab before the official arrived. Unfortunately, Lost Fox got the times wrong and never moved the bags of tuna. When the official came in earlier than expected, he ended up walking into a lab with the floor soaked in blood. It was the only mistake Lost Fox ever made at that job. This story was submitted by Ashkoort. A long time ago, Nixium worked in IT. One of his clients was a major company. He was told to fix and patch a staging and development server, which would replicate to a production environment. As he was working on it, Nixium ended up patching the production server rather than the development one. His mistake brought the entire company down for an hour and a half. Needless to say, he had an unpleasant conversation with his manager and their client. Nixium was happy and surprised that he only received a slap on the wrist for his mistake. This story was submitted by LeluWater. Ghost Toast used to work at a party store. One of the things they sold were balloons. After every sale, there was always some extra string left over that would be curled into a spiral with a pair of scissors. While helping a customer one day, Ghost Toast was creating a spiral at the end of a balloon string when the scissors slipped, slicing off a chunk of his skin at the top of his ring finger. The customer continued to wait patiently for her order. Not realizing that Ghost Toast was bleeding everywhere, he eventually called for a coworker to take over for him. Once the coworker arrived, Ghost Toast sprinted to the employee bathroom where he washed his hand and wrapped his injured finger. He will never forget how much it hurt. This story was submitted by LL-Cuff80. On the first day of her job as a hotel desk clerk, Spinces did something that she will never forget. During her first checkout, a guest bill came out to $800. However, she accidentally ran the guest card for $8,000. After realizing her mistake, the first thing Spinces learned how to do was process a refund. In this case, it was for $7,200. Once everything was fixed, she didn't think she would last much longer, but years later, she was proven wrong when she was promoted to night manager. This story was submitted by JHondaFish. There was a couple of mistakes Salty Squid made at his job as a cook. The worst was when he was changing fryer oil and the pot he was using slipped out of his glove. Hot oil spilled all over the aisle and under the counters. It even went up his leg from where he was crouched to drain it. Salty Squid stood up with 2 gallons of 350-degree oil spread across the floor. His legs was hurting very bad. The spill happened 20 minutes before he was scheduled to leave, but he had to stay an extra hour and a half to clean it up by hand. At that moment, Salty Squid realized that it wasn't worth $10 an hour and quit a short time later. This video was made possible by our fans over on Patreon. Thanks for your support, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Take care, everybody. Peace.